Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a review of the 2019 Wyndham Championship. JT Poston is your winner. Shot a 62 on Sunday, 1-1 over Webb Simpson. And Webb ended up getting a birdie on the last hole. Byeong-Hun actually had a birdie putt to tie to force into a playoff. He ended up rushing it by like 10 feet and then missed the putt coming back for bogey. So Ben-On, should have gotten second place, but went to third. Still needed him in the optimal lineup, which actually, let me just pull that sheet up right away. I should have had that one up first. Your optimal lineup was JT Poston, Webb Simpson, Byeong-Hun, Siwoo Kim, Rory Sabatini, and Josh Teeter. And like usual, let me just show you what the $1 GPP, so whatever that $1, like $5,000 to first place tournament was, had JT Poston, Byeong-Hun, Billy Horschel, Brian Harmon, Kyle Stanley, and Matthew Wolf. And then, so to get the optimal lineup, you had to spend $49,800 on the golfers that I told you about. You would have got a total points of 731.5. The $1 winning lineup had a total of 692.5, but also the same salary. And that to me seems pretty normal. So now the last, so this was 49,800 to win first place at that $1. The last 3 years, the last 3 weeks was 50,000 on the button that won golf tournaments. So that's something I think pretty interesting for all those theory crafters out there, or lineup crafters, whatever you want to call them, that tell you to leave money on the table. It almost proves otherwise. Like, you don't need to. I like to, like, I'm never trying to build a lineup to 50,000. If I have players that kind of switch in and out, then I will. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say I have a base lineup that has a total of 49,600. If there's a golfer I replace that's $400 more to get me to 50,000, that's what I like to do. But I never really try to create a $50,000 lineup. I just obviously use my process to figure out which players I like to play. So with that being said, I mean, 49,800 was the salary for both the optimal lineup and the winning lineup. And I mean, it was an interesting, like, if you think about all these players and how to add them, I really liked Webb and Viktor Hovland this week, but you couldn't fit them. Like, I even thought about it. So if I were to highlight, so you go from here, you need Siwoo on your lineup. Then you need to get like these real low priced guys. So if I went from 6,900 and who was it that I thought? I think if you went Bryce Garnett, so 41,700. That was Andrew Landry you need. Well, that got you 48,500. Either way, I mean, you could have, but how likely would you have went from 11 to 9.5 to, you know, mid sevens? Oh, maybe it was Brian Harmon I could play. That was probably it. That's 49,300. Either way. So I mean, I guess I could have done it, but it wouldn't have been the optimal lineup. You couldn't have Viktor Hovland in the optimal lineup. I also double checked prices or points, you know, like kind of the replacement points that you could have. You definitely needed, well, oh, it was JT. That's what it was. I'm stupid. It was those three: Barnett, Teeter, 42,000. So yeah, Landry would have got, oh, no. Harmon, there we go, 49,600. That's if I were to create a lineup and that's how I wanted. It wouldn't have been the optimal lineup. That's either near or there. You guys don't care. Let's get in the DK page. So I didn't see any lineups or anybody within the top 20 that had the same tee time as one another. So you really couldn't pair anyone up together for this tournament. I'm seeing Fabian Gomez and JT Poston having the same tee time. So, you know, I mean, you could have had Fabian on your lineup, $6,100. That's pretty good. But yeah, I already looked over this. I didn't see anything. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I didn't see anything. Let's just go through everything. You know, I mean, odds. Webb was the favorite. I liked Webb. I obviously have my liked over here. I do have a few liked that missed the cut. So, and actually, if I scroll through this, you can see all the players that I had liked. And as well as the golfer I just said don't play. Going down here, like a lot of my low price guys are right here, the ones that missed the cut on Saturdays because there was a second cut. I had some good lineups going in, and like one of them had Hank Lebioda, one of them had Alex Prue, another one had Tom Hoagie, and another one had Patrick Rogers. Like all four of those golfers, like those are who I kind of pivoted. I wouldn't say exactly pivoted from, but they were all similar price, and those were the golfers that I was using, and they all MDF'd. That just, it was unfortunate because it looked good. But here are all the missed cuts here. 85th represents the missed cut. So you can see I had a few people here that I had starred, but mostly all of my ex golfers are all the way down here. I don't know what happened to Aaron Baddeley. He just didn't show up, I guess. So yeah, let's go through these stats. So fantasy points per game, you know, that's pretty solid. I have no idea where that's ranked amongst everything. You know, looking at value, everything's kind of in the middle. Nothing is stepping out of it. And let me put the filter on here. So if we went by filter of value, you can see there's really no one inside the top 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide these just because it's really not that important. Points per game. Simpson, Webb is up there. Jason Kokrak's up there. So let's go ahead and hide this. Go with course history. Who had the best course history? Jordan Spieth did. Of course, he only played once. Zach Johnson also had the next best course history. Didn't do the greatest, but there you go. You have Webb, Sabatini. Joaquin only played it once last year. That's wrong. He played it twice. Sorry. Yeah, no one, you know, inside the, I guess how I'm going to rank this is the top 10 of course history. You know, you've got 2 top 10s out of all of them. So course history, not really something you need to look at. Recent form, you can see a lot of the top recent form guys actually found themselves inside the top 10, top 20, top 15 really. So really recent form was kind of more pertinent this week than before. And if you recall the rules that I created, I said you had to play at least, let's go over that. You had to play at least 2 last year 1s, 2 last week 1s, 1 last week 3. And then I didn't get into the other 2 rules I had. I totally forgot about them. One was to find someone who played in the WGC, one who got a top 20, and one got 20 to 40. I don't think we're going to see that at all. I mean, I don't see that. Although, what did Webb did. He did get a top 20. In case he would have got your 20 to 40, but you wouldn't have played him to get to the optimal lineup. But last year 1, you've got your 2 there. Last week 1, you've got your 2 here, so that works. You wanted to play at least 1-3, and that's how I kind of created a lot of my lineups. Was I wanted Webb Simpson in a lot of my lineups. He was the 3, and I was only going to play one of them. But I mean, you do have Billy and Bryce Garnett. Bryce Garnett could have fit on any of your Webb Simpson, so you would have had 2 3s. But you wanted to play at least 1, and I mean, so those rules all applied. They all worked. The WGC finishes also. I also had one as the Barracuda, 1 top 20 and then 1 miscut, which I believe Josh Teeter would have been your top 20, but your miscut would have been Landry down here, which I know scored quite a bit of points. So that was kind of interesting. That all kind of worked out a little bit. I mean, it did work out. It just couldn't find 6 golfers that would have worked that we can think of. Bermuda's the other one that I had a strong indication that I thought was going to be good. I mean, here you go. Here are your optimal lineup guys. Josh Teeter didn't have the greatest. I don't think. Oh, 26 events. So yeah. Did I hide one of the other guys? Is it 1, 2, 3? Okay, never mind. So all but one really had decent course history or Bermuda history. JT Poston really doesn't fit that mold, but he is from the Carolina area, and in the future, once I create this dang database that I've been thinking about creating for a long time, or that I actually started, I'm gonna have a player profile where they come from so that we can think about this stuff, and that way, you know, we can try to find some kind of edge based off of where they're from. Maybe this is close by. I know a lot of people think about being in a hometown or being in a home state or whatever, home course, that some of the pressure gets to you and you play worse. And I think we do have pretty decent history of that. But for whatever reason on these Carolina tracks, I mean, you got Kuchar, Simpson, now Poston. They all do really well at these, well, people call them coastal golf courses, but really this area, this region, those golfers do pretty dang good. So yeah, Bermuda did play a huge factor into success. I definitely think so. You guys can, you know, disagree if you want. I'm gonna hide these stats and just show you the rankings. This way we can talk about this. And I can't really scroll over. I have to create a couple. There we go. So now when we analyze this, what we see here is, yeah, tee to green mattered, and I would never hold that against anyone. Tee to green definitely mattered. You have 2 of the top 5 right here, and then you got a top 20 here. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, if you wanted to win any tournament on DraftKings, you had to have JT Poston. What tells you should play JT Poston? In any of this stuff, what tells you to play JT Poston? Nothing does. Maybe that he's from Carolina. Maybe that's enough for you. Maybe, I mean, the Bermuda didn't really work out. His odds don't really work out. The one thing that does, he had a last week bucket score of 1. I know some of you guys are going to think that's taboo. I don't really care. That's how I can identify the difference of players that you need to choose. The rest of it's just like they're vanity stats. That, to me, that's all they are. You can't tell me like tee to green, driving accuracy, or approach around the green. Anything like that can be the telltale sign, unless you give me a breakdown of golfers or who has finished inside the top 10 of previous tournaments, who had stats going into that. If I were to pull up the 2018 DK page, I bet you anything we're going to see something very similar. So if we go to how they performed and look over here, go ahead and hide this information. Like Brandt Snedeker won. We already went through this, but where do you find Brandt? You find Brandt down here near the bottom. Tee to green is what we were looking for. You know, approach. What do we see here? You got Webb there. Where's Brandt? Where's the first place guy? He's down here, 55th. Around the green, I think he was tops or one of the top. Yeah, pretty close. Proximity and greens and reg is, I think that's what we were really targeting, wasn't it? Brandt's, Webb, a lot of the other guys there, green and reg. Yeah, you don't really see anything there, but like that's what I'm talking about. When it comes to these stats, man, I just can't. Like green and reg didn't really matter. Proximity didn't really matter this week. Like these stats are so hard. To me, that's more volatile, trying to figure out who is going to play well at a golf tournament looking at stats leading into a tournament. I mean, until somebody tells me, instead of giving me a snapshot of who played well here years before and what their stats were at that tournament, give me a breakdown of what their stats were leading into the tournament. That way we can better determine which golfers we should avoid, which golfers we should choose, or how open we should be to selecting players. Because all the stats do is really just kind of hone in on targeting your players. So that's just my analysis on it. Again, feel free to disagree, but you weren't getting JT Poston on any of your stats. None of them. None of them. I know he was like 30th, or he was somewhere in between 30th and 50th on the FedEx Cup points. I only know that because they were talking about that with his win. He vaults up a bit. So I guess he's been playing pretty solid. I mean, let's look at his recent form. 29th at the Barbasol, 85th, a missed cut at John Deere Classic, 11th at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, 85th. So maybe the Rocket Mortgage Classic, since this was a Donald Ross golf course, should we have looked at golfers there? I mean, now that I see that, it's like, oh my god. Ooh. That's something I'll definitely write down in the notes. Seems like a Donald Ross correlation. Ah, shoot. I knew it was going to do that. I've got all these hotkeys set up, so I ended up hitting the A button? Maybe. Yeah, probably. All right, anyways, so we wrote that down. We'll have that for years to come. To me, that does seem like it kind of played a role in it. Yeah, very interesting. Rocket Mortgage Classic. A lot of top 20 golfers there finished inside the top 10. Yeah, that's something I'm going to look at for next year. Definitely, I think, worth a look for next year. So yeah, I think that's all I have for the review. Hopefully you guys did well. And I think I'm going to work on the Northern Trust Championship. Should have that up by tomorrow. They have the salaries out. I think we also have the tee times, because I usually wait for the tee times to come out, which always come out Tuesday, midday, to finally put them in the spreadsheet and then create the video based off of that. I could obviously do a preview prior to and just go over all of the key things, but I like to put the starting hole and tee time in there just to see if we can find an edge with golfers that we like. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna try getting these out. I know I told you I'm gonna be on the move soon, which is true. Hopefully nothing comes an issue with it, or maybe I just create quicker videos. But I do like the longer versions. Regardless, hopefully you enjoyed it. And good luck with next week's contest. Leave a like, please comment or subscribe. I will see you in the next video.